Rapture sign. They started building the third temple. The end of the planet is imminent. Most Christians anticipate a future event called the Rapture, which they see as Christ's second coming. The Bible gives us clues as to what will happen before the rapture, and it includes the building of the third temple, which may have been started. But are people aware of it? In this video, we are going to tell you that they have started constructing the third temple. Well, who are they? Stay tuned to get your questions answered. The Rapture, in simple words. Some who believe in the rapture hold that the second coming of Christ will occur at a later date than the first. There will be two distinct events. The first, a hidden rapture at the start of 7 years of tribulation, and the second, Jesus' return to earth in triumph and glory at the end of this time of affliction. Jesus said he would come to earth in secret and rapture his followers, leaving the lost to wonder what happened to their friends and family. The disciples saw Jesus ascend into the sky after his resurrection and return to heaven. What does the Bible have to say about the rapture? The Bible says that while the disciples were watching, he, Jesus, was snatched up, meaning that he was whisked away from their sight by a cloud. They continued to stare up into the sky as he ascended, and lo and behold, two men, angels, in white clothes, stood by them and asked, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand staring up into heaven? Just as you saw Jesus ascend from the earth into heaven, so he will return to the earth in the same way." The NKJV of Acts 1, 9-11. These verses are notable for two reasons. To start, Jesus, who comes back to earth the second time, is the same Jesus who lived among us, was crucified, and ascended into heaven. Second, he will come back to earth in the same fashion as he ascended into heaven. After his resurrection, how did Jesus ascend into heaven? Does it sound like he snuck off? No. The disciples saw Jesus physically ascend into the sky until a cloud obscured his appearance. According to these scriptures, Jesus will return to earth in the same manner. Is there a code to Jesus' return? Jesus will not come in stealth, as is made very apparent in another biblical passage. Even those who pierced Jesus will behold him when he returns on the clouds. Revelation 1:7 NKJV. According to this passage, the return of Christ will be visible to every person on the planet. There goes any hope of a stealthy arrival from him. The coming of Jesus, according to Matthew, will be as obvious as the lightning that spans the sky from end to end. Just as lightning strikes in the east and then travels westward, so too will the coming of the Son of Man. Matthew 24:27, NKJV. According to the Bible, Jesus will return as King of Kings, leading the armies of heavenly angels. Matthew 16:27. With the shout of the archangel and a blast from the trumpet of God. 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 17. With the wicked seeing him coming and calling for the rocks and mountains to fall on them and hide them from his face. Revelation 6:14-17. See Revelation 19:11-16. Jesus' return is not a secret, as evidenced by all these texts. What is the third temple, and where is it located? A potential reconstruction of the temple in Jerusalem is referred to in Hebrew as the third temple, or the third house of the sanctum. It was to be built after the destruction of Solomon's temple about 586 BCE and the second temple in 70 CE, during separate sieges of Jerusalem by the Babylonians and the Romans respectively. Even though it hasn't been constructed yet, the third temple is revered throughout Judaism, especially Orthodox Judaism, as the holiest site of worship for Jews. According to the Hebrew scriptures, its building was prophesied by Jewish prophets either before or during the Messianic era. Certain versions of Christian eschatology also give the reconstruction of the third temple a central place at the end of the world. What is Jeremiah's take on the third temple? "Look, days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will fulfill the good word which I have spoken concerning the house of Israel and the house of Judah," which is part of Jeremiah's presentation of the new covenant for Israel. "Then At that time, I will cause a righteous branch of David to emerge, and he will establish justice and righteousness on the earth. As for Jerusalem, she will be spared, and the people of Judah will live securely. And this is the name by which she will be known: the Lord is our righteousness. There shall never be a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel, and there shall never be a man among the Levitical priests to give burnt offerings, grain offerings, and prepare sacrifices day and night, declares the Lord. All of Israel will be delivered and brought back to the land of Israel in the Messianic age, which is discussed in this verse. There will be a righteous Davidic king on the throne of Israel at that time, and the temple will be rebuilt with its Levitical priesthood in place. If this is going to happen, are Israelis doing anything now to get ready for a third temple? Construction of the third temple. The restoration of the third temple has been planned by the extremist radical temple movement since 1987, and attempts to make this a reality in the 21st century have been making gradual but steady headway ever since. The majority of Israelis and Jews in the diaspora today are secular, but Orthodox Jews do not think they will have a part in the rebuilding of the temple because it is a spiritual project. It is the Orthodox Jewish community that is responsible for reviving the Sanhedrin, the religious body that oversaw halachic or legal problems about the temple and is dedicated to ensuring that it is reconstructed properly. Most temple movement members recognize that political action is required to change the status quo of Muslim ownership of the Mount and restore Jewish access to the site while they continue to plan for the temple's construction. This might be happening right now. When asked about the site, Israel's highest court said, "The reality on the Temple Mount is by no means straightforward. From its opinion on the subject of the works on the Temple Mount, very sensitive and intricate. A judicial verdict would be excessive in this situation, and there are other ways to settle the matter. Politicians, not judges, are responsible for giving substance to the historic cry, 'The Temple Mount is ours.' That is to say, we need a political move, not a legal one. If you believe the prophecy of Daniel's 70th week, Daniel 9:27, you know that the future political leader, the Antichrist of Revelation 13, will form a false pact with the Jewish leaders that will lead to the construction of the third temple. In what ways could this occur? An academic book on the politics of the Temple Mount suggests, with the stress upon the worldwide community's involvement in the sites, under the notion of the legacy of humankind, representatives from the international community ought to be included as mediators and guarantors. These would presumably originate from UNESCO and include regional powers like the Arab League and NATO, as well as interested entities like the United States, the European Union, and Russia. To be effective, any suggested legislative regime will need to involve interfaith cooperation among regional religious leaders. It might be augmented by religious figures from throughout the world who are willing to act as mediators. Every serious student of biblical prophecy will tell you that the Antichrist will have the support of both political and religious leaders, making this kind of plan a plausible possibility. Reenactments of temple ceremonies are used by the Sanhedrin and the temple movement to educate the next generation of Kohanim, or priests. Instruction includes using new ritual vessels designed for the third temple and gaining experience at a brand new altar of burning offerings. Because the people of Israel are obligated to construct an altar only on the site of the first altar on Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, this altar is one of a kind in that it will be built to be dismantled and rapidly reconstructed in its current permanent location. It will be reassembled on the Temple Mount when the time is appropriate so that sacrifices can once again be made. This ends the video for today. What do you think about the construction of a third temple in Israel? Let us know in the comment section. Also, tell us on which topic we should make our next video. Like and share this video. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you in the next video.